do, we're going to get the game started to show you the different scenarios you might find yourself in. So in this case, I'm on the Redeem the Night side. The Angels of Resistance side has already suffered a casualty, as you can see. This character has fallen in battle, hence the card is turned over like this. So this character only has 3, this character has 2, and mine are still alive, doing pretty well. Now, just to show you the mechanics, I don't have any upgrades or any items equipped to my characters. We're just going to do this through bare bones mechanics. All right, so we'll say that I choose first, and I will choose the first battle card, which in this case is a spar card. The spar card is one-on-one character battle. Drawer decides who goes first. That would be me, of course. And it's a non-lethal result, which means no one is going to die in this battle. It's just for who gets the trophy card to get 10 points for their spoils. So, since I drew first, I get to decide who fights and who the opponent will be. Now, I think for, let's see, my purposes, I'll choose Gideon. She is a witch. You can see she has the magic globe here, which means she's a magical character. She has 3 power points, so I think I'm going to go against Predella. Predella has only 2 power points. She has no upgrades. Now, she really wants to have a chance against me. What she'll need to do to defeat me is perhaps use any cards in her arsenal. And if she really wanted to, let's see what this opponent has. Okay, this opponent has a critical strike card, which upgrades the character up to 2 power points. And that would then make this character 4 against 3. Now, I could probably use an attack of my own. In fact, I think I will. I'm going to use my incantation card. It's like a critical strike, except for magical characters. And that gives me 2 power points, and just the edge I need to defeat Predella. So since I win, and it's not a death battle, I get this card as a trophy. Of course, providing she has no other tricks up her sleeve. I then also get to take this card that she used to try to defeat me, and of course the card I used to win I also put in my spoils section. So right off the bat I have 1, 2, 12. So far I'm winning the game because I have more points in my spoils section. So that was a good battle for me. My opponent were to choose, they may get another spar card. In this case, it's a 2-on-1 character battle. Of course, my opponent will decide who is going to be the target of their attack. In this case, it's also non-lethal, so no one will die in this battle. So I don't have to stress too much. But of course, the higher numbers at the end of the game win. So I do want to try to get this card. But since they only have 2 characters available, my opponent will use both of these, since it's 2-on-1, to attack a lesser character who will probably be Mary Dyer. So Mary Dyer will be under attack in this case. First glance, it looks like I am not going to do very well. It's 3, 4, 5 against only 2. So I need to look at my arsenal. I can probably use my magic and muscle card, which will allow me to use a magician as well as a physical. Notice the physical, which is a regular physical character, and I can use a magical character with this card to team up. But I don't think I want to use that right now, because since my opponent drew this, the tie would go to my opponent. And this would be a tie, so I would be using this card for nothing. And since this isn't a life or death situation, I'm going to concede the battle and let my opponent take this card. They will do that, and now they have 10. Congratulations, phantom opponent. And now I get to go, and I will choose another battle card, except look very carefully. This battle card is one-on-one. Primary character dies if defeated. So now the stakes are quite high. So I need to be very careful as who I choose. So I'm going to, of course, choose Arl Balin, my hero of this team. There's many things he can do, particularly with the cards I have in my arsenal here. I am going to attack Predella only because she doesn't have any upgrade to this point, and perhaps, at least right now, I can win this thing. Barring that she has no other way to really defeat me, it would seem that I'm going to win this thing. And I do. So not only do I get this card, she is also defeated in death. So what you want is, you want to get as many of these upgrade and action cards as possible, which you will be drawing from the home deck. Odds are my opponent would have these, but as I'm just showing you a demo of how battles work, that's really not going to matter right now. What does matter is my opponent only has one character left remaining, and I still have 3. My opponent were to choose this time, they will finally choose a villain card. You'll notice it's a villain card because there's red on the border, as you can see. So, if we pay close attention, we'll notice that first of all, the card has an R for Redeem the Night. And the card is also red inside, which is the color of my team, meaning my opponent drew my villain. That's not very good for me, because I have to fight this villain that my opponent drew. If the villain had a purple background, like the Angels of Resistance, it would be a villain that my opponent would have to fight. But since it's my book, my story villain, I have the burden of defeating this character. However, I'm at a disadvantage because my opponent chose this card, which means my opponent gets to go first and decide who the target will be. This villain is quite dangerous. 3 power points, and if you notice, he is a physical character and a magical character. As you can see, the fist is inside the magical globe. So he's quite versatile. If you read the character description, it'll say sorcerer, warrior, and impervious to magic. So if my opponent was savvy and cunning and strategic enough, my opponent would know the best character to fight and target is Gideon, because she's a magical character and he's impervious to magic, which puts me in a lot of trouble. Perhaps I shouldn't have used my incantation card, but then again, that wouldn't help anyway, because it's magic, and he's impervious to it. So, there are some cards I could use, but none I believe that would do me any justice. And it looks like I'm going to lose this because tie goes to the person who drew it. My opponent drew the card. I lose. And unfortunately, because I did not win, I do not get to take the villain card as a trophy. The villain wins and is then placed into the Shadowland, away from me. So my opponent was able to, 1, kill off a character, and 2, prevent me from getting 10 points. Well, I'll lick my wounds, and I'll pick now. And as it so happens, it's another villain card, except this time it's an Angels of Resistance card, hence the A and the purple card. So now the tables have turned, and now I get to go and be the villain against my opponent. And in this case, revenge is sweet. Look how powerful this villain is. 5 power points as opposed to 3. He's magical. And if this side were to win, it says, add Eric to your party if you defeat him. He could defeat him, he would get this character to fight on his side, as he is an anti-hero. He can fly if there was a card that would give him the ability of flight. He's a sorcerer using magic, but the most important thing is he's got 5 power points as opposed to his 3, and he has no action cards that can upgrade his attack, which means he's not going to get this card, he's going to lose, and at this point the game is over. This round is done, and now we count the cards we have. They can't count the characters that have died, so in this case they only have 10, whereas I have 10, 22. I could also count the characters that have lived, which would make it 32. But I digress. This is not really how the game would go per se. There are so many other exciting cards to be drawn, upgrades, and action cards, and summoning cards, and the like. But this is just an example of some battles that you might encounter. The next video will discuss the most pivotal battle, if we get to that point, the final battle, which is war, to decide who wins the whole game. The victor gets the most lucrative card, 30. But that's of no consequence here, since that side has fallen, and there's no need for a final battle. But stay tuned for the next video, as we are certainly going to go to war, and it's going to be pretty epic. Until next time, happy playing.